If you're anything like me, you've been watching a lot of Amphibia lately. It just had its Season 3 start up recently, and next week's episode is shaping up to be very, very interesting. We don't know too much about it now, but the title is called The Core and the King. From this title, I can theorize a couple things that might be happening in this episode. One, we might get a bit of a backstory into King Andrias and the Core, or we might see Anne and the others finally confront Andrias and the Core. I highly doubt they'll finally face off, but I am very much anticipating if they do. Either way, whatever happens in this episode, I am just excited to see more Darcy. So why am I so excited for more Darcy? Well, I think everybody is, obviously, but I think I just want to share my own reasons here and just talk about Darcy for a little bit, because I find Darcy to be very interesting. So right now, the Core / Darcy, I'll just refer to it as Darcy. For those who don't know, the reason we call the Core corrupting Marcy Darcy is in the credits of Olivia and Yunnan. It shows the voice actor for Darcy being the same voice actor for Marcy. So that is where the nickname comes from, and everyone pretty much refers to it by that name. I didn't know that for the longest time. I thought it was just a fan-made nickname, but no, it's official. I just don't know if they will be calling her Darcy in this. Either way, we'll just call her Darcy for now, or it, or him. It's weird because it doesn't really have a true identity, because the Core is it's just a mash of the greatest minds of Amphibia, which is the first thing I guess I wanted to talk about. Just the Core's existence itself. How it's just a bunch of the greatest minds of Amphibia. It's a bit vague. We don't really know what people are inside the Core. We just know it's a collective of minds. So it makes me wonder, is it all just one collective conscience? Is it just a bunch of minds that are working together at like a round table making decisions? To my knowledge, it seems like it's one collective unconscious from the very few lines that we've had. Right now, we have 3 lines that Darcy has ever spoken. Obviously, we can see more intentions through its commands to King Andrias, but right now, we have the, of course, iconic "Why, hello there" from the reveal. The second line comes from Froggy Little Christmas, where after Andrias has his gamer rage, Darcy just makes fun of him while holding a frickin' D20. And the last line doesn't actually come from an episode, but from a trailer.
Don't you think it's time to say goodbye to those childhood friends of yours?
Don't you think it's time to say goodbye to those childhood friends of yours? Now, it's interesting because that's obviously the Core speaking, but we don't really know who it's supposed to be sending that message to. I imagine it's Marcy the Core telling Marcy in her head, but I also feel like it could be directed toward Anne. I'm not entirely sure, but I find it so fascinating how interested I am in the lore and the story that the Core / Darcy could tell, despite only having 3 lines. There's so much potential with Darcy, I feel, because there's just so much we don't know. We don't even know if Darcy will have access to Calamity powers. In the recent episode, Mother of Olms, the frickin' Mother Olm was telling Anne, hey, you all get cool anime powers, but Anne is the key to unlocking it. But it makes me think, will the Core be able to unlock Marcy's Calamity powers, maybe by battling with Anne? Or potentially even Sasha by extension, because Sasha might have Calamity powers soon thanks to Anne? It's really unclear, I don't know, but if we get like a Calamity battle, where it'd be like Anne and Sasha versus the Core, that would be very cool. I don't know, I'd be very interested in that. It also makes me wonder if the Core will even have access to it. Even though the Core is taking over Marcy's body, maybe only Marcy herself will be able to access those Calamity powers? I don't know, because it seems like with Anne, she had to lose Sprig to access her Calamity powers, but maybe for Marcy, it'll have to be, true to her, not so much while being corrupted by, a bunch of random frickin' dead guys in a computer. Another question I have about the whole Darcy situation is whether Marcy herself is actually conscious. I wonder if she has a say in what's happening. I don't know if she has merged with the Core, or the Core is simply just using her body. Because the Core wanted somebody who was smart, yes? If the Core wanted just a strong body, they could have used anyone else. But no, the Core wanted Marcy specifically. That makes me think that Marcy's mind has somewhat merged with the Core. Maybe the Core can access the information inside Marcy's head with like a one-way street where Marcy can't access the Core's knowledge, but the Core can access Marcy's knowledge. It's very unclear. And this is why I just find it so fascinating, because the amount of potential that we could have is just absolutely insane. Another thing I found very interesting was that Matt Brawley posted on twitter.com a small comment that looks like it came from a YouTube video or something, where somebody says, "Now I understand the frog monster in the mural. It's not the core or some monster the girls are gonna fight. It's a symbolic representation of Amphibia's greed and corruption. The girls are fighting for Amphibia's soul," which I find to be very interesting, and Matt Brawley pretty much confirms that yes, this seems to be the case. Now, at first I was like, wait, so there's not going to be some epic battle? But no, there's of course going to be an epic battle. Like, there has to be. It's going to be a finale of a show. There's always going to be some epic battle. I just think it's what that fight stands for is not so much just, haha, let's go beat up a bunch of dead guys at a computer. Rather, it's a more symbolic fight where they're fighting against, you know, the greed and corruption, just like the comment says. Another thing I want to talk about is just the fact that it's Marcy is the one being possessed as well. I know, this video is a bit messy. This is the first time I've ever made a video like this, so my thoughts are pretty messy. But yeah, for those who don't know, my favorite character is Marcy in the show. And just seeing her, you know, go through this is very sad, I suppose. I don't know, poor Marcy is just, for the most part, the picture of innocence. Obviously, she's made her mistakes, and she obviously regrets them, as we have seen. Oh my goodness. And I don't know, I just very much love Marcy. I think there's a really nice scene that just like immediately I knew that Marcy was going to be my favorite character once I saw it. I'll play the clip now.
She's clearly harmless.
I'm probably reading way too much into this, but I feel that there's so much characterization in this one little clip. Not only do we see, one, Marcy's smarts being shown, the fact that she's writing down and researching the things going around her, but she's also a gentle soul where she's, you know, kind of surrounded by little butterflies and being interested in, you know, inspecting them, which has her show her curious side as well, how Marcy is very curious and interested in new things, and how she's like almost ready to explore and very adventurous. I don't know. I think this one little scene captures her intelligence, her curiosity, her innocence, and just overall Marcy-ness. I don't know how to describe it, but it's just, overall, I just think that clip, despite having zero dialogue from Marcy besides her just going, oh, it's just a perfect character moment. I don't know. Maybe no one else agrees, maybe I do, but I just find that to be such a good showcase for a character in just a few seconds. When I started binge watching Amphibia 5 months ago, I remember once I met Marcy, I was like, yo, where's all the Marcy content? Give me more Marcy content. I was obsessed. This is like my favorite character in the show. She was so freaking cool. Extremely relatable with the whole, you know, her gamer side. Marcy is a gamer, guys. She's a gamer. But she's also just so fun to watch. Her just being excited over so many little things. Her intelligent side is fun to see come out, where it has, you know, it contrasts her and Anne, where Anne is jealous of her intelligence, but she's in turn jealous of Anne's talents. And I just find it so nice because she's so realistic. She just feels like such a real person, having, you know, more than one motivation, being such a complex character, especially as we see her motivations in True Colors being so complex, where she forces her decision onto Anne and Sasha to go to Amphibia. Obviously, good things did happen to Anne and Sasha. They both grew as people and have become better people by going to Amphibia, which technically Marcy did do. However, it's not as if they had a choice in the matter, so Marcy was not truly innocent as everybody thought. She was given this innocent sort of, you know, the mediator between Anne and Sasha, and she felt like the person who could do no wrong, which is at first why I was just like, oh, I really like this character. I tend to like innocent characters a lot, not just because, you know, they're innocent, but I don't know, it was just like that's just part of the reason why I liked Marcy. It wasn't until True Colors, though, that I truly became, like, obsessed with Marcy. I have, like, Marcy Brainrot now, guys. It's terrible. But in True Colors, once we learned of Marcy's extremely complex motivations of wanting to have her own adventure, but also not wanting to lose her friends, not wanting to be lonely, move away from the only people she's ever been friends with. You know, it's something that, you know, a teenager her age would do. At that age, if you had told me I was going to be separated from my friends, especially at that age, I had very few friends, I think I probably would have stolen the music box too. I very well probably would have. And that's just another reason why I love Marcy. It's not just the relatability, but it's just the decisions that she makes are the exact same decisions I could see myself doing, even if I know they're not the right ones to make. Besides the whole super genius thing she has going on, I find her to be just extremely relatable and all the stuff that she's interested in. One scene that I like a lot is during her theme song Takeover, where she tries to get a bunch of the newts to play D&D with her. I found that to be extremely relatable as well, because I remember there was many times where I would try and get my friends into a game I wanted to play, and they just didn't want to play, or I would have to say, like, guys, it gets good eventually, like, trust me. It's just, I just see myself a lot in Marcy. And then obviously at the end of True Colors, when, you know, the thing happens, you know, the thing, the hope nothing bad happens to me, haha, the funny. Not funny, but then obviously we know what happens to Marcy. And I would pretty much call her what I like to say a fallen hero. I have that title ripped from Fire Emblem Heroes, where they have heroes that have fallen, but I would basically call Marcy turning into Darcy a fallen version of Marcy. She has fallen from her hero status and has now become a villain. Obviously, of course, that's possessed, but I have a very big interest in fallen heroes. A good example of this is in Fire Emblem. Sorry, I'm a big Fire Emblem nerd. But if you've played Fire Emblem Three Houses, the main character from the Blue Lion's Path, Dimitri, goes from a noble, honest with a dark side into just a wild beast that goes on a murderous rampage 5 years later. And Dimitri's one of my favorite characters from Fire Emblem Three Houses. I just love the fallen heroes sort of trope, and I see that in Marcy becoming Darcy so much. So once Marcy becomes her fallen hero status, turning into Darcy, I just found myself just so shocked. At first, obviously the True Colors was extremely shocking, the fact that they could show what happened, you know, getting stabbed through the chest on like a Disney show. Obviously there's no blood or anything, but it's just surprising that they even made that happen. Like, very much kudos to the team for, you know, forcing the limitations of what Disney allows on television. And then with the Olivia and Yunan episode, they have obviously Marcy sitting in the chair, and it's just like, oh, the poor girl is just suffering so much. And it's like weird because it just sounds very weird, but it's like I like it. Something about a character, oh, this sounds horrible, but like something about a character suffering and then eventually seeing that them overcome that suffering is just like so satisfying. It's the same thing with Dimitri, where I find it so interesting that he's pushed back into a corner and he's suffered so much. Dude's like stuck on 1 HP the whole time, and like his back against the wall, but like eventually, you know, he'll come out of it. And I find the same thing extremely interesting with Marcy, where she's been stabbed through the chest. She's had a bunch of dead freaking computer people uploaded into her brain. She's gonna have to fight her best friends. It's like, the poor girl didn't deserve it, but it just makes her more interesting because she's had to go through this suffering. And it's like, how is she going to grow from said suffering? Obviously, she's going to be traumatized and deserves therapy, of course, but it's just something about seeing a poor little innocent character like Marcy, you know, having to go through this. It's just like, you want to see her overcome the Darcy-ness. You want to see her get her cool anime powers and fight back, you know? And reunite with her friends, and I'm just so interested to see how that's gonna happen. And it's just through Darcy, I just find it to be so interesting because the potential just feels so limitless. I feel like, oh, what if they knock off the helmet and then Marcy and Anne and Sasha team up and they all take on frickin' the core? Or what if the core gets tired of Marcy? Or like, let's say that they knock off the helmet and then Marcy gets herself back, and then, oh, the core still needs a body, so it takes over Andreas, and then you get like this Andreas core mesh, and it's like, oh, the 3 Calamity trio gotta fight Andreas. I don't know, I just have fan fictions playing out in my head that are really cringe, but it's just like, it'd be so cool, right? It'd be cool. I don't know, I feel like there wouldn't just be something like that. Like, I feel like the whole 3 of them versus like a core possessed Andreas would just be, you know, way too, anime? I feel like Amphibia wouldn't do that. Amphibia feels a bit more clever than just, ha ha ha, let's beat up the big bad guy. But that's just another reason why I find it so interesting, because I feel like with whatever you do with the core, it'll just be super interesting. Oh my gosh, I'm so psyched for this episode, and Amphibia's ending in a month, and it's just, I'm really making this video mostly for myself so that I remember how excited I was for this ending. I'm so excited. It's just, the potential of Darcy is so insane. I can think of so many different outcomes. I drive to work and I'm like, Darcy. I'm at work, I'm like, Darcy. I leave home and I'm like, Darcy. Oh my gosh, Darcy's constantly in my head. For those who don't know, I have a gaming channel where I do a lot of Let's Plays, and I have to like hold back myself from talking about Darcy. It's so hard, guys. I have Darcy Brainrot. It's so bad. I can't stop thinking about Darcy. I play a lot of Fire Emblem Heroes, and I was like, yo, what if Darcy was a Fire Emblem Heroes unit? It's bad, guys. It's really bad. Can we also talk about just how freaking cool Darcy looks? I'm not talking about the stupid PNG. That PNG is dumb. But I'm talking about just like, you know, here's a good example. Let's use Matt Browley's art here that he posted on December 27th to twitter.com. This art is freaking sick, dude. Darcy is so cool. It's so cool. It's just the dark outfit where you have like the eyeball on like the chest plate. I don't really know. I think that's like Marcy. I feel like that is like Marcy's mind or something, because Marcy had that little eyeball, I think, to my knowledge, or I don't even know if that's an eyeball. I don't really know what it is. I assume it's an eyeball. But she had that before she put on the helmet, which is very interesting to me because Andreas has one too. So it makes me think, is there like wireless communication? Because obviously we see like Darcy, to my knowledge, has always been attached on like a cord on the back of the helmet. Even in Froggy Little Christmas, you don't get to see her that well, but there is a cord attached to her. And it makes me wonder, like, do you have to be attached to that cord to be maintained as the core? Or is there like a wireless connection that you can use? I mean, you got those antlers for something, like, come on now. But surely there has to be, because Andreas in his helmet, or like it was below his helmet, I forget, but like he had like the little eyeball on him. So it's like, is he part of the core? Is his mind inside the core? Or are they just connected somehow? It's weird. Obviously in this upcoming episode, we might see what happens, but it's just so many questions. So freaking many questions. But yeah, back to Darcy's design alone, I just think it's super cool. I think Marcy, in this like black suit or whatever, I don't know really what to call it, but I think she looks super awesome. I think she looks so cool. I've even seen people do like emo, edgy fan art of Marcy with like the freaking black outfit, and I think it looks awesome as heck, dude. I think it's so cool. Even in the text of the art that we just looked at, Matt Browley said she listens to Evanescence, which I find to be really interesting because to my knowledge, Evanescence has like stereotyped to be like the emo, edgy band that people would listen to. And I haven't really listened to it that much. I've only really heard, you know, the most popular Bring Me to Life song. But I was listening to like a lot of the music recently just because I was like, hey, Darcy listens to Evanescence. I like Darcy. I should listen to Evanescence. So I started doing that. And even right now, I'm listening to the song Taking Over Me, which, you know, taking over me, the core takes over Marcy, you know, there's a little connection there. Even the lyrics of the song kind of remind me of Marcy herself in a way. Maybe it's just because I'm really just way too much looking into it because of my freaking Darcy Brainrot. But whatever. I highly recommend you listen to the song, and if you can think about Marcy while you do it, you very well could see Marcy in some of those lyrics. What were we talking about again? Oh yeah, Darcy's helmet. I think it looks super cool. I think it's definitely one of the most interesting villain designs with like a helmet that I've ever seen. Just the antlers and the little side antlers alone. I don't know, you can obviously tell it's like an Amphibia villain, because it's like they have the bug frogness in it. I don't know, it looks more like a bug. She looks more like a freaking ant or something, but it just looks so cool. And then adding Marcy to that too, like I'm just thinking Marcy surely has to be merged with the core and not just possessed, because in the art, obviously this probably just is like not canon, it's more of just a joke that the fact that she listens to Evanescence and all that, but she's holding the D20 at the end of Froggy Little Christmas, which obviously that's a Marcy thing. Why would the core care about a D20? Maybe it's because it just thinks it's cool, that, or maybe it's just because of the Marcy influence. I don't know how much Marcy influences the core or how much the core influences Marcy. I don't even know. We don't even know if it could have like a whole mind battle going on. Maybe there's like a battle in the mind where it's like Marcy's trying to get back her mind from the core. We just don't know. I think I even saw a comic somebody had made where it shows like the core is constantly showing Marcy visions of like Anne and Sasha being, you know, mad at her, like in the episode where, you know, they become that freaking weird merged demon, and they're like, oh, frick you, Marcy, we hate you. And it's just like, is Marcy just gonna be so traumatized that like maybe if she gets the helmet off, she won't know it's real or fake? And like, will she just feel even worse about the fact that she lied to her friends? I don't know. It's just, there's the potential of Darcy, guys. It's crazy. I'm losing my mind. I want answers. I really do. This video isn't gonna be relevant. It's only gonna be relevant for like not even 5 days. It's literally coming out this Saturday. It's Monday when I'm recording this. Anyway, I think that's everything. It definitely isn't. I could probably talk for hours about Darcy. Maybe I will another day, but I think for now I'm gonna leave it there. I just wanted to make a video about Darcy, and I needed an excuse to make a video about Darcy because my head is constantly filled with thoughts about Darcy. So let me know your thoughts about Darcy so that we can talk about Darcy together, okay? Good talk? Good talk. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.